make some sense of it all, but I can see it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to go to sleep on the floor? 'Cause I don't think that I can take anymore. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today's Thursday, February 5th, 2026. And Nate Erskine Smith, I always get his name wrong, is wanting to be the Liberal leader in Ontario. He wants to revitalize the party and turn Ontario red. And I don't mean liberal red. I mean blood red. Probably not really, but I mean, you can't be too sure these days, right? Mineral deals with the United States for everybody but Canada. So not great. There were deals announced. Anita Anand was there, but she was not in a situation to announce a new deal because, well, the United States isn't doing that right now because they're punishing us for being stupid. Danielle Smith comes out defending Alberta independence in a full-throated way. She says they're not treasonous, they're not traitors, they're patriotic Albertans who love their province and their family. And so, I mean, yeah, that's right. So I'm glad that she's coming out to doing that. Keir Starmer is saying unity is our strength. So they've had an update. The talking points have had an update, and that's interesting to note. Unity is now our strength. Diversity, shmai mercity. We want unity or something or other. I think what they want is for people to not resist going to fight the next war. They want us to go fight in Russia or Ukraine. New world order in trade on Trump's terms. So, and Trump talking about 2028. And I think it's the funniest clip ever. I talk often about how the liberals don't answer questions. Trump aggressively doesn't answer questions in a hilarious way. I think it's funny, but I get mad and I don't like the liberal tap dance. I think it's ridiculous. But when Trump does it, I think it's funny. So I don't know. Although I do, well, the question is, what happens on January 21st, 2029, sir? And is there a configuration where you might still be in the White House? And Trump doesn't answer, and it's great. It's super funny. I think it's funny. But I can see why it would bother other people. Higher food costs due to counter tariffs on imported food, and that's being discussed and paraded around, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's interesting because the liberals keep saying that it's Trump's fault. And it's not. It's our own stupidity that's doing it. It's bad policies, and we know it's bad policies. And the liberals keep pretending that Trump is the reason for all of our woes, and it's not. It's 10 years of liberal stupidity. And has it destroyed the country? Maybe. Damn near maybe. Really. And the economic, the inability for Canada to keep up economically with the United States is damning. It's on purpose. It feels like it's on purpose. It looks like these people don't want a deal. And so even though they're pantomiming that they do, they're doing the meetings and they're doing the this and they're doing the that, they don't actually want to put on the table the things necessary to actually get a deal. And so we're going to languish, and we are languishing, and we've been languishing for 10 years because of these people, their bad policies and their incompetent governance. And I think that's on purpose, but that's a good cover to say, oh yeah, they're just incompetent. I think they're doing what they're doing on purpose at the behest of globalists, but that's a whole other rabbit hole that's maybe beyond the scope of this podcast. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, minerals and the lack of deal for Canada. Here's Anita Anand and Marco Rubio, right? And Rubio's got a great smile. It's so hard to smile for photos when people are like, okay, smile. You're like, okay, I'm going to smile. And so Foreign Policy Canada says today, Minister Anand was here in Washington, D.C. to meet with global counterparts on critical minerals. While there, she met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and thanked him for convening the meeting and for the discussions on strengthening critical mineral supply chains. Thanks for doing that. So, yep, we're good. And we're supplying those chains and everything's good. Nice seeing you, Anita Anand. Yeah, we're just gonna go make an announcement quick. We'll see you later, right? You're not invited to the announcement, Canada. Get out. Cheryl says. Anita Anand says, attending to better understand the deal, the United States also announced Wednesday that it was drawing up critical mineral action plans with Mexico, the EU, Japan, that include setting price floors. It made no announcement about similar cooperation with Canada. But we've got all this aluminium in Saskatchewan. Come on, you want to make a critical minerals deal with us, don't you? Any deal at all? Some kind of deal? Anything? No? So while we have the appearance of warmth, right? That smile is telling another story. That smile doesn't touch Marco Rubio's eyes. I'm sure he meant every inch of those teeth. Holly Doan says, so I was fooled yesterday. They got me. I thought that when they announced the Office of the Special Representative on Combating Islamophobia had been disbanded, that they were actually going to disband it. And it didn't take me long to think, I wonder what they're going to replace it with. I wonder, Carney can't make a good decision. That's not in the cards. So what else is going to happen before the day is out that's going to totally undermine this thing and make it even worse than it is now? And yes, I've got all of that to show you in about a minute and a half. So Holly Doan says, Office of the Special Representative on Combating Islamophobia has been disbanded. Yay! Following disclosures that Amira Al-Gawabi lobbied to install Muslim prayer rooms in federal buildings and advocated for employees speaking out on Palestine issues. So yeah, get out Amira Al-Gawabi. And really, all of these things should be abolished. We shouldn't have any kind of advisory boards talking about narrow issues like Islam or anti-Semitism. All of these things, these are outside. Everybody deserves safety, but you don't get to be safe from what other people say. If other people say like, ha ha, fatso, or something like that, and that hurts your feelings, you can't arrest them. Like, that's not how this works. And if somebody calls out a religion for a reason that they have that you might not know about, right? Like, I've got my reasons, broccoli, and I hate you, right? And so like, or the damn Cardis, right? For O'Brien. So government has no place in policing that necessarily until it gets to criminal code level. If people start attacking other people, that's bad. And you can't have that in a society, right? And so like, you should chill that stuff out, but you also shouldn't import a whole bunch of people who are incompatible with each other. And if you have multiple religions, that's just inherent conflict. You're importing conflict. Globe Politics is reporting the same. Carney scraps Trudeau's anti-Semitism and Islamophobia czars, but they're burying the lead because they're going to replace it with something. What are they going to replace it with? Over to Mark Miller. CTV News reports Canadian government to fold envoys on Islamophobia and anti-Semitism into a new National Unity Council. Oh, yay. No, it's not good. National unity, okay? Keir Starmer is calling... in England, hold on, I have to jump ahead because I want to highlight it because the talking points being updated is so notable. Keir Starmer says, I love this country, England. It reads like a ChatGPT thing. And these things, my wife pointed out to me, these dashes, ChatGPT uses these dashes all the time. If it's done by AI, you've got these dashes in there. So Starmer's using ChatGPT. Anyway, he says, or Starmer's ChatGPT says, I love this country. It's the greatest country in the world. We are a tolerant, decent, and respectful country, and unity is our strength. 5 seconds ago, it was diversity is our strength. It was on all the football and everything. Everybody was saying diversity is our strength, and now it's unity is our strength, and they're saying the same thing here, right? And that's pretty interesting, if you ask me. Here is Mark Miller's statement or X post on this. He says, as the world becomes more dangerous and divided, because as a liberal, you've now signed on to say that before everything. We must hold on to the truth that far more unites us than divides us. That's why we're creating a new advisory council to support our efforts to combat hatred and racism, one grounded in our shared values and communities. And this is going to morph into, do you know what we should do? Censor the internet. And they're going to say, oh my gosh, nobody's thought of such a great idea. We should definitely censor the internet, and that will get rid of all the hate. And so that's going to be the recommendation coming out of this new advisory council. Here's CTV News talking about the whole headline, and it says, Carney's Liberals fold anti-Semitism, Islamophobia envoys into Equality Council. So I can't wait till the Equality Council gets its hand on the internet. That's going to be just something else, because the internet won't be the same. The food professor. So from, oh man, how did the Liberals stumble into this good decision to, oh gosh, oh goodness me, that's going to be a lot worse than what's happening right now, because they're going to use that, and they're going to use that very official sounding office, right? Oh yes, we're fighting for anti-racism nonsense, all this stuff. They're going to use that to push speech laws. They're going to use that to say you can't be hateful like that. Listen, broccoli, I've got my friggin' reasons, and the government, stay out of it. You don't want to get between me and broccoli, okay? Holy smokeroonies. The food professor says, in a report released yesterday, the Bank of Canada quietly confirmed what many of us have been saying all along. Ottawa's counter tariffs on imported foods from the United States contributed to higher inflation in 2025, higher imported costs, higher grocery prices. Unfortunately, many food economists dismiss this link. Food is getting expensive. It's still abundant, but now it's getting expensive. At what point does the food become expensive and scarce, right? I am appreciative that we can still buy food, but I am weary of the prices continually going up. I went to the grocery store, my chocolate cereal, they're attacking my chocolate cereal. And so it's not 3 for $10 anymore. And so I'm looking for other sources of chocolate cereal. I'm looking for a new dealer. I'm looking at Amazon. Might be Amazon. They don't have all that overhead, right? So I don't know. Might be Amazon. But the chocolate cereal, I used to get it for $3, $3.33 a pop, right? Now they want $5 a pop. I don't know. Not going to happen, right? And so I found ways around. You got to buy in volume, but things are getting dicey out there, everyone. Food's getting more expensive in a notable way. And the Canadian government's bad policies are contributing to that. And we know that that's happening, and nobody seems to care. So that's, bad, right? We should probably fix those bad policies that are making my chocolate cereal unaffordable. Juno News is reporting Minister Champagne, finance minister, blames imports for food inflation, but 2/3 of the cost spike comes from domestic policies his government controls, including the carbon tax on farmers and clean fuel standard. Yep. Are they going to do anything about it? No, absolutely not. Because when people depend on the government for handouts to pay for groceries, then the government controls the people much easier than if the people don't rely on the government for those things. And when you rely on the government, you can't hold them accountable. When you don't, you can hold them accountable, right? So if the government says, oh yeah, we could investigate this, but that'll probably delay all the checks that we want to send to you, then you say, okay, send the checks. And that's basically how they've gotten through all of the scandals that have come up. Juno News is reporting buried in Bill C-15 are sweeping new powers that centralize authority, weaken Parliament, and dodge democratic accountability. This isn't just a conservative concern. Experts and watchdogs across the spectrum call it undemocratic overreach. I am sure that I've played this before. She's talking to this guy, and he says, it's C5. We both voted for it. And she says, no, this is the budget implementation bill, and you guys are trying to exempt yourselves from laws and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure we've seen that before, so I'm not going to play it right now, even though I just play acted the whole thing while I did the voiceover. And anyway, Ian Runkle of Runkle to Bailey on YouTube, he's a lawyer. He says, Bill C-15 allows the government to give corporations a pass on anything from environmental laws to conflict of interest laws. The Liberals are not the good guys, folks. Yep, that is true as well. And I'm glad other people are seeing it. But again, our elections are rigged, so... Andrew Lawton says, Liberal and Bloc members on the Justice Committee just voted down my amendment requiring non-Canadian citizens charged with a crime to surrender their passports before being released on bail. Ridiculous. So it was voted down. And I'm not surprised, because it seems like the Liberals want to destabilize the country in the fastest way possible, while also claiming that they're doing things to benefit Canadians. And they frame the immigration policy as benefiting Canadians. They frame all of the things they're doing as keeping Canadians safer, but they don't actually solve the problem, right? It's like the floor is wet and slippery. Instead of mopping the floor, they give you walking sticks. So if you slip, you could save yourself maybe, right? Here's a walker. There you go. This doesn't solve the problem, but it'll help you manage the slippery floor, right? This is not solving the problem. And now there's a problem with my walker and I can't even walk through the floor. Well, would you like MAID? Would you like us to kill you instead? No. Could we get a mop? Pierre Poilievre, and the mop would be akin to getting rid of the bad policies, fixing the bad policies that are causing these issues, instead of, handing out walkers to make sure that people don't slip on the slippery floor. Pierre Poilievre says, today I met with the Prime Minister to push policies to make Canada affordable, safe, and reliant. I also pushed for lower taxes on Canadians and shared my disappointment at the size of the deficit. I offered specific suggestions on how to bring back investment and restated the offer from the Conservatives to help in the Canada-US negotiations. And Jamal Giovanni went down to the United States and had some success, but again, nothing concrete. Everybody kind of just saying, all right, Canada, everybody likes you. Keep on doing what you're doing. Right? I don't know. It seems placating. Also, nothing on immigration, nothing on the Emergencies Act being illegal and government invoking the Emergencies Act, and the cabinet members who are still in cabinet from that same period. People were joking about tanks and that those people are still connected to Carney. There's all sorts of ridiculous things that are continuing to happen in our government. And again, accountability. Here's a position in the United Kingdom, Bill Blair. Enjoy. Pip, pip, cheerio, right? Say hi to Mary for me. Poppins, of course. Mark Carney says, we're working with the international partners to create new high-paying careers, build up our domestic auto sector, and boost productivity in Canada. Globe and Mail is reporting Ottawa and Seoul in Korea agreed to work on bringing South Korean auto sector manufacturing to Canada. So we're going to build Hyundai's cars now? So forget Ford. Who needs Ford schmord, right? We're building Hyundai now, right? Win the Super Bowl, drive off in a bam, Canada. You're welcome, says Mr. Carney. Give you a break. It's not good. It's bad. And again, Korea's really far away. And sure, Canadians buy Hyundai, but they limit the number of units they sell. So it seems weird to manufacture them here. So anyway, the whole thing is, we'll have to see how it goes, but I'm predicting badly. Mackenzie Gray, let's talk about Nate Erskine Smith. I've got like a huge grab bag of governance today, so I don't think we're even going to get out of the grab bag of governance before the end of the free show. But there's so many kind of things happening, and all of it is the same as fixing symptoms and not actually fixing the core problem. Here's Nate Erskine Smith. He's leaving the federal Liberals to run for provincial leadership in Ontario. Mackenzie says Nate Erskine Smith says he plans to quit as a federal MP once the Ontario by-election in Scarborough is called, saying that if it was called tomorrow, he would quit tomorrow. So there you go. And Kevin Vung is responding to the breaking news that Erskine Smith says he'll seek the Ontario Liberal nomination in Scarborough Southwest to replace Dolly Begum. So they poached the NDP from Scarborough Southwest for the federal seat for Bill Blair. That's Dolly Begum, whatever. And now Nate Erskine Smith is going down to a provincial to win there and then take over Liberal leadership. And this is a statement from Erskine Smith. He says, to that end, I'll seek the Ontario Liberal Party's nomination to run in Scarborough Southwest by-election. I've communicated this to the interim leader, John Fraser, and I will continue to support Prime Minister Carney as an active member of our federal caucus in the meantime. We deserve better than this tired, incompetent, and self-defeating Conservative government. We deserve a real Conservative government, actually, is what we deserve. One that's going to stop sending money to Ottawa for foreign wars and to send to China. How about no? Or send to Ukraine, or send to Palestine, or send to make posters to tell Africans not to poop on the beach? Nope. How about no? Anyway, we deserve smart, fair, and honest leadership here in Ontario. The answer is participation. Join our growing team at team.whatever. And Kevin Vung is responding to this. He says, being an MP is already an all-encompassing job. I don't know how someone could do that as well as constituents' needs or deserve, while also seeking to run elsewhere in another riding at another level of government, and also be running for party leader. Oh, and also be a good dad and husband. So there you go. Yep. It's a lot on your plate when you're doing two jobs like that. But also says a lot where you can just pick up and leave in the middle of it. Like how operations critical is the minister or is the MP, right? If he can just F off, right? Pretty interesting. Maxime Bernier says, for years they called us conspiracy theorists for questioning the safe and effective narrative. Now government data reveals the truth. 20 dead, 180 plus permanently injured, 1,300 heart inflammations in young boys, medically validated. That is to say, a causal link has been established by an independent committee of medical experts confirming that the vaccine has caused serious harm. It's a national scandal. They imposed on us this for a flu-like virus, for a passport that destroyed livelihoods. The fake conservatives did nothing, or worse, promoted it. The PPC alone stood against this coercion. We were right. The betrayal is complete. Time to hold liberals and fake conservatives accountable. Yep, I think that's correct. But again, the political will to actually hold anybody accountable, we're very bad at that. Track record says we're really bad at that. Canada Proud says federal election officials admit that the Conservative candidate Joe Tay needed to pay for private security to protect himself from agents of China's Communist Party during the 2026 election, but continue to insist that foreign interference did not impact results. Okay, security's super common these days in Canada, right? You don't want to be extorted or something like that. So you get security. Welcome to Canada, folks. Holly Doan says Canada Health Canada acknowledges, quote, safe supply drug policy led to public disorder. Social crises, including the housing crisis and the toxic illegal drug and overdose crisis, are contributing to drug-related issues and public disorder. Yeah, well, anybody paying attention could see that as soon as the policy rolled out. It was obvious, very clear. There was no mistaking what was going on. And it seemed the government was enthusiastic about it and enthusiastic about turning a blind eye to it. Accountability, anybody? No, not yet. Oh, darn. Again, super bad at accountability. These people will leave and they'll take their pensions and they'll have all sorts of money. And the people they harmed through their bad policies will suffer. And there's nothing that's going to fix that. And that's just terrible. Bradshaw is responding to this National Post article. The National Post article says, "We don't need it. Seniors call for reduced old age security payments." Okay, so long as you can reduce the amount you take off my paycheck, because if I'm not paying into Social Security, I can invest that money and I'll probably get a much better return, which is an argument about all of this socialist nonsense. Generation Squeeze proposal would reduce OAS payments to households making more than $100,000 in retirement income. So if you make $100,000, if you and your spouse together make $100,000 or more, they'll reduce the amount of OAS you get. If you paid into it, that's your money, man. They don't get to reduce that. Oh yeah, well, our balance books are really rough this year, so we're just going to take your money. How about no? That's my Lotto 649 money, buddy. I'm just kidding. Don't play the lottery. It's a bad idea. Put $5 a week into a bank account and you'll be much better off. I used to run the lottery. I have to say goodbye to the stream soon. I used to run the lottery. Yeah, I'm going to tell this lottery story and then I'm going to say goodbye to the stream. Old people should get their old age security. I used to run the lottery at the place that I worked. And it was a school and it was a high school. And so there was a lot of teachers. We had something like 60 people in the lottery group. And so everybody was giving me $5 and I would play Lotto Max, right? And we played 3 years. I ran it 3 or 4 years. We played every week, all through the summer too. I would collect money in the beginning of the summer and I would email them updates and the whole deal. I was really good at it. It was fun. I liked doing it. And I played the lottery for free. The whole thing was, I don't pay. I'm not a paying member. I'm running this whole thing. So I get to play for free and I'll buy the tickets and I'll manage the whole thing. I almost put up a website, but I thought, that's dicey. Anyway, the Lotto Max never paid out. The biggest prize I got was $120. And I was like, wow, that's great. Like, whoa, yeah, next week we're going to win a lot after this, right? Nope, absolutely not. Nothing. 60 people, $5 a week. It was like 100 and I don't even remember. It was a lot of money and nothing. And I thought to myself, this proves I've not played the lottery since, period. I used to like scratchy tickets too. Nope, don't do it anymore. And because it's just a waste of money. So you don't win. It's stacked. The house is stacked. And I'm pretty sure that there's fraud or something's hinky with the gaming in like the lotteries in Ontario, the Ontario gaming and lottery stuff. They say they put out all this money for kids and for education and for sporting and all this other stuff. But